Wait, but that's for lawyer.
Yes.
Good evening, board members, staff, folks out there in the audience. Let the record show that today is June 23rd. The time is 7 p.m. and we will now call the Amherst County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Before we move on to approval of the agenda, I would like to amend our agenda and add an item from the Ag Committee for an event at Winton Farm. And I would like to make that item number 4. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Pugh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The amended agenda is now approved, and we will move on to the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and Mr. Ayers will lead us.
Let us pray. Heavenly gracious Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the colors of summer and the brightness that we see as we go about our way. Father, bless the men and women of the military as they stand on foreign lands and here at home, protecting us and our freedoms that we so enjoy each and every day. Be with our law enforcement, our fire and EMS folks as they go throughout our community, providing needed services to us in their times of tragedy and needs. Be with them, Father, and bless them with a hedge of protection as they protect us. Be with us as we move forward with the business of the county. Bless us, guide us, and direct us. Give us the strength, courage, and the wisdom to make decisions that are beneficial to our community and pleasing to you. It is in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Ayers. We will now move on to citizen comment. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? Seeing and hearing none, we will close citizen comment and move on to the public hearing where we will discuss the proposed tax rate. Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to ask the Finance Director, Stacey Wilkes, to the podium. She has a few slides to explain how we are not increasing the tax rate, but we are not equalizing all.
Okay, so this is 2020, the 6-year reassessment year. And what happens is we reassess all the value for the real property and decide if it is greater than the value for last year. This value does not include new construction. So this is where we get into not having to equalize as high. So when we do a reassessment, we're supposed to determine the tax rate that gives us the same revenue as last year. So while we had a 2.7% increase in the assessed value, this gives us a rate of 60 cents per $100 for assessed value to give us the same amount of revenue. And not equalizing leaves us at the same rate of 61 cents per $100. So we have a 1 cent differential, and that's the public hearing. The non-equalized rate is what we use to balance the fiscal year 2021 budget and is requiring this public hearing. If there's any questions, I'll try to elaborate, but it's a pretty straightforward calculation. We missed it 5.67, that we would have been at the same rate anyway.
Board members, any questions at this point? Proceed. Okay, is that it? Mm-hmm. All right, board members, you've heard the explanation. We've certainly got people here to ask any questions if we've got any. I know that we have, we studied over this many hours. I think that staff has done a really good job, and we appreciate the work that they put into it. Department heads as well. I know that everybody worked as a real team to come together and bring us all the efforts that you all had to get us to this point. So I'm going to open it up to other board members now, my colleagues.
Madam Chair, this is a public hearing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
So do you need to open and close?
I didn't know if you want to ask anything before we open it
Oh,
up.
no, I'm sorry, no.
Okay, all right, having no questions from the board, we will now open up the public hearing for the fiscal year 2021 proposed tax rate. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? Hearing and seeing none, we will now close the public hearing section of that. Board members, any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'll just echo the comments you made earlier. I think that if we hadn't equalized, we'd be looking at even more cuts across the department to accomplish what we've been able to this year in this budget. So again, I also commend staff. I thank you all for looking for ways to reduce your spending. It's because of that we were able to do the 2% and bring the staff up to market, which is something that we really wanted to do. We wish we could have done more, but just wasn't available. Just couldn't do it this year. So unless anyone else has any comments, I move that the board continue the real property tax rate of 2021 at 61% per $100.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Martin. And I can see that in spite of my own amendment of this agenda to make the Ag Committee item 4, I skipped right over that. So with the board's permission, I would like to go ahead and take up the Ag Committee conversation at this point. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
The Ag Committee had a special meeting yesterday, and in that meeting, they discussed a proposal from Mr. McCormick to have a countywide celebration at Winton Farm on July 4th, and have fireworks. And obviously, the public's invited. They have, as I'm told, talked to Mr. Bryant, and he has worked, Mr. McCormick's talked to Mr. Bryant, and he has worked with him on things of social distancing and kind of how it need to be laid out. Ag Committee is supportive of this. They had a vote and was unanimous to move forward. Mr. McCormick asked the Ag Committee for some monies to go half, I guess, for the fireworks themselves, who will take care of everything else. And so they made a motion not to exceed $2,000, and that would come out of the county fair appropriation, which of course will not be used this year. While it probably was within their power to just go ahead and do it, out of deference and out of respect for the Board of Supervisors, they wanted me to bring it forward to you all and let us have a final say on that appropriation. Got any questions? I'll try my best to answer them.
Seems pretty straightforward. I think it's a good idea. It's a way to celebrate. So hopefully we'll get a decent turnout.
Any questions?
No, I concur. I think anything that we can do to celebrate our country and maybe improve morale in our county right now is a good thing. So that's.
All right, I need a motion to not exceed 2,000.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Ayers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. All right, now we will move on to the 2021 budget adoption, and we've got the resolutions. Mr. Rogers, can you kick that off for us?
Yes, ma'am. So, the board produced a budget that it agreed to. COVID-19 hit. We reassessed. The board produced another budget, presented that to the public. There was no public opposition at all. And so, assuming that you want to go forward with the budget figures that you previously agreed to, we have produced the resolutions that put that into effect. And so I would ask that you adopt the resolutions as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. And board members, we don't have to read them all in their entirety. We can just go ahead and make a motion to include them all. But before we get to that point, has anybody got any questions, any comments that they want to make? Okay. Ready for motion?
I move that the board adopt resolution 2020-0006-R, 2020-0007-R, 2020-008-R, 2020-009-R, and 2020-0010-R, implementing the FY 2021 budgets, capital improvement plan, and tax rates.
Thank you, Mr. Pugh. There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Pugh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolutions are now adopted. Next on the agenda is the renewal of the health insurance. Thank you, Ms. Warner. Give us an explanation of that.
The board had indicated their intent several months ago to renew with PCHP so that we could include it as part of the budget process. This is just a technicality. As you may recall, last year we had the same form that we used to enroll with PCHP. The actual contract is made up of a lot of boilerplate that's been approved by the SEC. We don't get that until months later. So this is the renewal document. I just need you to authorize the county administrator to sign it so that I can get it to PCHP.
Okay. Any questions of Ms. Warner? If not, can we get a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the board authorize the county administrator to sign the documents required to renew the county's health insurance contract with the Piedmont Community Health Plan, Delta Dental, and Vision Services Plan for the FY 2021 plan year, and at the rates described in the FY 2021 budget.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Ayers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Warner.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to old business. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Ayers had previously asked us to look into the cost of some additional work at Burley Hollow. As you know, we are remediating the soil, and we're actually going to take down a dead tree or two that have been killed by dumpster fires in the past. But he also asked that we look at the removal of a private road that leads up to it. The cost to removal of that roadway is $3,825 and then $1,110 for the tree. The soil remediation cost is coming out of the transfer station leftover funds. But to be perfectly honest, there is no other funding left that isn't already called for reserve with regards to additional dumpsters and compactors and scales and trucks and so forth that we need to operate the new transfer station. So my recommendation to you is that you take this additional funding from the county's unobligated general fund in the amount of $4,925 so that we can have that work done. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions?
Have some comments.
Mr. Martin?
So while I fully support taking the road out and taking the trees out, I don't agree with taking it out of the county's unobligated fund. I think it should come from the solid waste budget. I think on several occasions over the past months, they've come to us and said, you know, just last meeting, I believe it was a $9,000 savings to shut the convenience centers down for 2 days apiece. I'm not sure that that was actually, you know, that savings was already in the budget or not. So while I support it, I don't support taking it out of the unobligated general fund. And the only way I can support it is if it comes out of the solid waste fund. I think what we're dealing with right now is maybe a philosophical issue, but I think it's clearly associated with the remediation with removing the dumpster site. I think the landowners in that area have suffered long enough. I was telling Supervisor Ayers that my wife and I actually looked at that piece of property and didn't buy it because of the dumpster. So that's my loss.
Ms. Wilkes, did you have something?
Well, I want to address that. Any savings that we're doing with regard to changing manpower and hours, of course, is in the next fiscal year. They're not in the current fiscal year. So we're talking about taking money from this year's budget to deal with this now. And as I said, now, what I brought Stacy up here is to answer the question whether there's other money in the waste budget. The reason why, you and I spoke on this over the phone, the reason why I don't believe this is part of the waste budget is because while it happens to be at the same location where the dumpster is, this is a private road on private property. The county did not put the road in. The school division I checked did not put the road in. And the owner wants the road taken out. That's fine, you all have the authority to do that. But it's certainly not related to our waste budget at all. And that's why I proposed the unobligated general fund. Now, my question to you is, off the top of your head, here at the end of the year, is there money in solid waste budget elsewhere?
I would be fearful to do that right now because I have got to appropriate the extra money in order to cover their overages right now. They have had a lot of contract work and a lot of gravel brought in there unanticipated, which we've adjusted for in the 2021 budget, but as the road gets longer, it gets more expensive. And
as the pile gets higher, the road gets longer.
yeah, so without a public works director for a while, I was unaware. And so we kind of missed all that. So we kind of catching up. There was also some extra, he's saving money now at the convenience centers, but we had to add a person at Coolwell in order to man that one. So we have sucked up that savings quickly.
So,
I would not recommend it only because I don't know. Right now, they're about negative 200,000 plus, which I know we have enough revenue to cover. But I don't think they're gonna come in with any extra.
so Mr. Rogers, when is the remediation work going to start at the dumpsters? Early holiday.
Right. David?
And otherwise, it should be next week, they're starting in Foxwood in the morning.
And what they're gonna do is they're gonna remove a couple yards of soil.
Hopefully, they're gonna get Foxwood finished this week and move.
They really
It
hope.
would be next week, depends on the weather, the rain.
Right. So that soil will be taken off to be remediated because it's contaminated, and then the soil beneath it will be tested to see if it also is contaminated. If it is, then we'll take another couple of yards and pay for that to be remediated. So we don't know what those costs will be till we reach the bottom of the contamination.
So, the work is going to be ongoing for a while.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And obviously, this is either an addendum to an existing contract or an entirely new contract to do this work, right?
This is our effort to restore the site to its original condition.
Okay, so we just passed a fiscal year 21 budget. Don't approve the work until July 1 and take it out of the landfill budget.
You can't order the work either.
Fine.
Don't, just,
I think-
I'm just saying, just don't order the work.
I
'Cause
think
if you don't
order-
order it, we can take it out.
I think, I'm speaking for myself, but the way I've read the consensus of this board for the past several months is that we were supportive of removing the road, right? So I don't think waiting a month to let a contract have it done is gonna hurt. Right?
I'm fine with that, Mr. Mark. I mean, I think we owe it to the people in that community and the landowners right around that. Who put the road in, no one can say, but that road ran from that dumpster site to Burley Hall Road for a reason. And the landowners did not put it in there. So common sense will tell you that road was put in to relieve traffic from turning right out on 60 away from that site. And they've asked that that site be put back in the original condition it was before that open container was put there, and I think we owe that to them. So if we have to wait a month before we can order work, then we have to wait a month to do that. And that is my feeling. Yes, sir, I agree with you there.
How do we,
Figure it out.
how do we work around, because we had a certain amount, we had some funds in this current year budget for that, right?
Removal of the road? No, ma'am.
No, the remediation.
That's coming from the bond fund.
Right, that's
Transfer
from bond fund.
Yeah.
But that's my question, so
And that's
does it make any
open-ended.
difference if those two, if we don't use it 2020, but we get 2021?
Well, if you use that money in either year to remove a road, that reduces our ability to buy equipment that we need for the transfer station and the convenience centers. It's a choice, that you can make, but, I mean, we have approximately $1.1 million left over,
Yeah, million.
and we have $1.5 million in projects and equipment that we need to. Now, so we're preparing to delay that and find other means to acquire those things, put some of them off. But there's operational use for that money.
So, okay, I'm sorry.
I believe that if you wait till 2021, we can do it out of the landfill budget, and we should not have a shortfall because the savings will start showing up in 2021.
Great, so do we need to bring it back July, first meeting in July, or how do you want to do that?
You can change the motion to say, to appropriate it out of 2021.
Yes, let's do that.
You just change it to say, to appropriate out of landfill, use landfill funds out of the fiscal 2021 operating budget.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move that the board appropriate $4,925 from the fiscal year 21 landfill budget for the remediation efforts described, which is removing the road and trees and returning it to grass.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Martin, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Point of clarification, since we are streaming, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Point of clarification. So we've got this one bucket of money, out of that one bucket of money, that one appropriation, we were going to not only mitigate the soil that has a problem, and any other soil that may come along, we're also gonna fix the road. We're gonna put the road back, or remove the road, is that right?
No, the road, as I understand, the road is gonna come out of the landfill waste operations budget, not out of the transfer station bond leftover funds.
Okay,
So basically, we'll have a year out of other savings to absorb it and not feel it.
okay, all right. Thank you. All right, we will now move on to citizen comment. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? There's a lot of people here. Nobody wants to say anything? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will now close citizen comment and move on to matters from the board.
I have
Mr.
nothing,
Ayers?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I'll just say, it's like we're stuck on the landfill tonight, but I have had several citizens contact me about 2 days at the convenience centers were being closed. Their request was maybe that instead of, maybe those days could offset. So I don't know if that's something we could look at, if the rest of the board is not getting any complaints or not. I won't really say complaint, but concern. I'll just put that out for discussion.
All right, Mr. Martin, would you like that to be an agenda item for our next meeting?
Only if the rest of the board thinks it's a good idea.
Is there any board member who would like to discuss that further?
I would just say, I mean, we looked at the whole procedure, we voted on the procedure, we changed the procedure, and of course, you are gonna have, anytime you do something like this, you're gonna have people that are concerned. A lot of them don't even know, it was changed, and that creates a lot of the friction or the complaints. I would say at least, I would like to keep on schedule, keep doing this for a little while, because it alleviates a lot of, a couple of employees, doesn't it? It saves us some money by not having to hire as many employees to operate the convenience centers. And I think I saw some new numbers. There was a whole litany of things that our Director of Public Works had sent in. I don't know if you all have seen that, but there's some substantial savings. I would like to stay the course and see how it works out. And if the voices get too loud and we have to relent and change hours back to what they were, we could. That would be my point.
I think that's perfectly reasonable for, so, the rest of the board members are okay with, just kind of looking at it and maybe revisiting it in 6 months or a year or so, just to see how it's going. That'd be great.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Martin?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Mr. Pugh? Ms. Moore? I don't have anything at this time. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Ayers, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Congratulations, board.
We got a budget.
Another budget year is finished.
Now the next one's that much closer.
That's right. Oh, God. It starts in August.